Okay, welcome to the channel. This is going to be the first video UFC Oklahoma reactions. This is just going to be something you can have on in the background when you're cleaning your house, doing your steps, doing your cardio, whatever it may be. This is pure, honest, raw reactions to everything that just went down for DDP versus Usman. Incredible fight card, first of all. For a fight, as far as a fight card goes, in my opinion, 7, 8 out of 10. Brilliant finishes across the board, amazing performances across the board. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting off in the first fight, we had Melisano versus Barboza. Melisano coming in to make her UFC debut, and if you see me looking down at my phone, I have a load of notes I wrote down for while the fights was happening. But essentially, Melisano's first round debut, Barboza by a standing rear naked choke. It was actually a really good fight. Tough fight for Melisano's debut. Barboza just looked more technical, just like that debut was even coming in on short notice. Barboza looked massive in there. Her grappling was just superior. Her transitions were just clean. That standing rear naked choke was so incredibly tight. It was incredible, just an amazing performance, but she almost had the neck crank earlier on in the fight. Good performance from Barboza. I would like to see Melisano get an easier debut or just go again, because that was a tough night. Then we had moving into RJ Harris versus Hines, which was the second fight, which RJ Harris defeats in the first round, he's knockout with an uppercut. What was RJ Harris's talent? It was brutal, but Hines came out was throwing good low kicks. There was no setups with them, so it was just able. RJ Harris was just able to start timing some straights, and then a monstrous uppercut just comes in out of nowhere whenever Hines just dips his head, and then it just lifts Hines completely off the ground. What a knockout. Beautiful performance, and I got a kid on the way, so that was an amazing performance for him, a beautiful time for him and his family, and what a UFC debut. But to be fair to them, it was a lot more of a technical fight than what I thought it was going to be. I thought these two people were just going to look awful. They were going to come out, they were going to be slow, they were going to be sluggish. No, they were quick, they were moving, they were decent movement. Overall, just a decent fight. Moving into Alden Correa versus Stuart Nickel. Alden Correa by decision. I was really looking forward to seeing how Alden Correa got on. For me, I seen a video, he was someone's prospect of the night. He did kind of disappoint me in a way. He looked slick with the hands. I actually thought he should have let his hands go a wee bit more, especially whenever he had Nickel up against the fence, whenever he was pressuring him. I also would have liked to see more kicks from Correa, but I can understand from the threat of the takedown. And any time that Nickel went for the takedown was there. He was showing good level changes whenever Correa was putting some pressure onto him. Correa needed to be more active with the hands, especially when he had him trapped against the cage. Use more kicks, but there was some good scrambles, some good grappling exchanges. Whenever Correa started throwing more combinations in the third round, and he was some good submission attempts, the standing guillotine. The overall decent performance from Correa. I expected it to be, going into the fight, I did expect it to be a one-way beatdown. I expected it to be a domination, a masterclass on Correa to get the knockout, and then to move on to like a higher level flyweight. But I still want to see him get a ranked flyweight next, because overall it still was a good performance, just not the level of performance I was expecting. Nickel, I think that's his third or fourth loss in a row now. Decent showing from him, was showing some good level changes in there. Then we were moving into Ezra Elliott versus Damian Anderson. Elliott got the decision. There was no real attempts from Elliott to go out and establish and win that fight. It was just a lot of chain wrestling, which yes, did look good, and Damian Anderson had zero answer to it. Damian Anderson, I thought, going into the fight, whenever he got taken down, he would have threatened with a bit more submission attempts, but Ezra Elliott just played it extremely safe for a UFC debut. Came in, chain wrestled, it almost looked like he was scared to go for a submission to lose position and then end up in potentially a disadvantaged position, and he just didn't really want to strike with Damian Anderson for the whole demon hands. But for a UFC debut, it was pretty lackluster, but at the end of the day, he got the win. His chain wrestling looked good, his pressure looked good, his cardio looked okay, and it's definitely something for him to build on. If he can threaten more with some submission attempts, he did show some good overall control throughout the fight. Good debut. Then we're moving on to Franco versus Rodriguez. It's a striker versus grappler matchup where Franco got the second round TKO. It was a very entertaining run. Rodriguez did have Franco hurt in the feet. There was some good level changes from Franco, some nasty elbows. All them elbows reminded me of like John Jones. Overall, the referee came in. I thought it was a decent stoppage, because if you're just going to sit there, lie there and take unanswered shots from White, it's not going to be it. There was some good low kicks coming in from Rodriguez. The one thing I do have to say is Rodriguez's grappling defense did look pretty poor. Franco was able to transition into mount and the half guard pretty easily. It almost didn't even look like he needed to bother or needed to try. And yeah, when you do that to somebody who's going to land some nasty ground and pound like Franco did, you're asking for trouble. Then we move on to JPL versus Ko. JPL got the decision. It was an amazing first round. Both fighters landed some big shots. Ko's hands looked very clean. He was almost throwing that like Conor McGregor-esque style with the hands down, popping out the jab, popping out the left hand. He looked quick. In round 2, JPL started getting more active with some more takedowns, with some more decent ground and pound. Ko started to look tired with some decent submission attempts. Ko started round 3 at the beginning. JPL strong. Just JPL made the fight real ugly, landed a takedown. Personally, I had it JPL 29-28. Just JPL needed to come in, make that fight ugly, put pressure on Ko, back him up, because whenever you're standing in like a pop shot, and it just seemed to be Ko was getting the better of the exchanges when it was more of a technical, clean fight. JPL comes in, rubs him up, gets him in the clinch work, gets him on the ground, just makes it an ugly fight and gets the decision, in my opinion. Decent fight for both fighters. Then yes, we had moving on to Austin Bashi versus Jose Delgado. Delgado got the decision. Bashi had some good takedowns, but my God, he was swinging for the fences. Everything he was throwing with intent, throwing with power, and that did show in his cardio later on. He definitely did gas out. Delgado finished strong. That was a very, very fiery fight. It was a good first round. We had Delgado finished strong with a massive left hook and almost finishing the fight. Well, that first round, I think I scored it 10-9 to Delgado. In round 2, we had Delgado landing the cleaner shots, picking him from distance, doing more damage. Bashi needed to lean into the wrestling more. I did think he got sucked into the whole striking element. If he leaned on his wrestling more, I think he could have had maybe a bit of an easier fight. It did show a wee bit of a lack of a fight IQ, but at the end of the day, he's still very young, still very raw. There's still lots of time to improve on that. And at round 3, Bashi finished the round with some good top control. I didn't know why Delgado started shooting takedowns towards the end. Maybe he just didn't want to risk that one big lucky shot. Who knows? But Delgado was winning the striking exchanges. He was sniping him. He was long. He was rangy. There was some, if I remember right, there was some good teeps, there was some good low kicks, there was just, overall just a good performance from a longer, rangier striker compared to the shorter, stockier wrestler. Moving on to the performance of the night, Tommy McMillen, 3rd round TKO against Montes. Tommy McMillen, take a bow. I essentially didn't rate you coming into the fight, but my God, I rate you now. What a performance. That was Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar levels of output. I'm pretty sure he set a record for just the amount of pressure he was putting on them. He was just coming forward, throwing strikes. At the very start of the first round, he was coming in, controlling distance, in and out of range, darting with that long jab, that long straight. And then I was like, right, this is going to be a long, tough night. But then, my God, he just started coming forward with pressure. And how tough is Montes to take that onslaught? See those body shots, they were nasty. And eventually, McMillen gets him out of there just with an overwhelming level of pressure. It really did remind me of like a Max Holloway, just overwhelming the opponent, coming in and just swarming them. Brilliant, brilliant performance. One thing, Tommy McMillen has made you interested to see his next fight. The kid has potential to be a star. He trains out the same gym as Sean O'Malley, if I'm not mistaken. What a fighter. What a performance. So Tommy McMillen, fair play to you. I'm not sure if you got performance of the night or any bonuses. I really hope you did. But, because I literally just went to sleep straight after the event, because UK, I'm on about 6 hours sleep here at the minute. Kline versus Ricci, I don't want to botch that name. Kline by decision. What a performance. She looks incredible. Her strike, I thought it was just going to be a striker versus grappler matchup. If Kline can defend the takedowns from Ricci, it was going to be a tough night for her. And my God, she defended them takedowns and more. Landed some of her own, some good suplexes, just some good scrambles on the ground. Kept herself safe at all times. Her striking looks clean. She's looked long, she's rangy, she's quick. Beautiful, beautiful performance. She was just a cleaner striker, just good takedown defense, everything. She had a rear naked choke at the end of round 2, which was so tight and so close. Definitely was saved by the bell. She is a serious contender in that division. Oh my God, that was I think on commentary, I think it was Daniel Cormier or either Michael Bisping said that was a championship fighter level of performance, and I can see why. What a fighter, what a performance. I really can't wait to see her next fight. Genuinely, that has restored my faith in that division. We're moving on to Chase Hooper versus Mitch Ramirez. Chase Hooper, first round sub, kept him at distance, thrown a couple of jabs, and then bang, lands a takedown, rear naked choke, gets the job done. Slick transitions on the ground, just showed his levels. His limbs are so long, that body lock, the way his limbs just wrapped around Ramirez, insane. What a performance. Chase Hooper, fair play. We're moving on to CLD versus Cannonier. CLD is, I wasn't familiar with his game. My God, he just came out with like a pure like Michael Venom Page, just long, technical, bouncy. I wanted to see him keep it simple, stick to the basics, and stop throwing all that spinning shit, just to see what his level of his striking was like. And then just Cannonier came in swinging for the fences, clinched him up against the fence, which I thought was the right approach and the right move. But overall, good performance from CLD. Just picked him apart at range, done enough to get the decision. He's a problem in that middleweight division if he can develop some of his skill sets a wee bit more. Just a very, very good performance. I'm very excited to see CLD's next fight. He's a very entertaining fighter. Finally, we had the main event, Kamaru Usman versus DDP. Coming into the fight, it was the only question on my mind was, can Dricus stop the takedown? Has his grappling improved that much from the Hamzat fight? If all he could do was improve his grappling, it was a long night for Usman. Now, I wanted Usman to win. I love Kamaru Usman. I wanted to see how he was going to be properly at middleweight. And my God, DDP had an answer for everything. The first 2 rounds, DDP was landing some very heavy shots, some very hard shots, some high kicks, some right hands. Looked very good at both stances. He was just a very good performance. And Kamaru Usman had no answer, especially whenever he was dipping down his head for that takedown, and he was just leaving himself there for the uppercut. But whenever he started fighting behind his jab, we were more in the end of in round 3 from Trevor Whitman's advice, and he stopped kind of ducking his head there and just eating those knees. It was better from Kamaru Usman, but DDP just shut him down. He had no answer for the wrestling. If I can't remember correctly, he maybe landed 1 or 2 takedowns, but there was none with any significant control. Just Dricus just looks a step above in every area, and I think Kamaru Usman just looked a wee bit slower. And just DDP overall in the striking has more weapons, has more of an arsenal. He has more kicks, he has more body kicks, he has more leg kicks, calf kicks, head kicks. And then while Usman is just mainly throwing left hand and right hand and marching forward. DDP, brilliant performance. Kamaru Usman, I don't want to see him get hurt too much. I don't really know what you do with him next. DDP, I don't even know what you do with him either, to be completely honest. I'm going to take some time to think about that, because it was a very good level of performance. Because coming into the fight, I couldn't see a path to victory for Usman if DDP could stop the takedowns. I didn't see a path to victory for Usman. But for DDP to look that good on the feet out of both stances, and for his takedown defense to be that good, that is my reaction to UFC Oklahoma. As I said, this is going to be my first video. Very raw, very unedited, very jumpy, glitchy. It will improve over time. I appreciate this. This is just going to be a hub for MMA content, football content, because they are just, I love MMA, I love football, I love going to the gym, and that is just going to be a hub, and I want to kind of see and grow this platform to where it goes, because my God, I'm a massive UFC fan, and my love and fire for the sport at the minute is through the roof. We're watching every single early prelim, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, you're an absolute dog, because we're going to grow this platform to the moon. Thank you for watching.